The sun is warm on my neck. I'm pushing a trowel into the dirt. I'm 76, and this is my church now. I stopped going to a real one. I found God right here in my garden. Let me tell you what happened. It started on a Sunday. I was at St. Bartholomew's. The sermon was about wrath. I looked at the stained glass, then at the door. I felt a quiet certainty. My time there was done. I just stood up and walked out. The emptiness in my chest wasn't sadness. It was anticipation. I walked home to a house that was too quiet. My husband Arthur was gone. I could see our old routine, his tie on the chair, our quiet breakfast. Now it was just me and the ticking clock. I looked out the window at our garden. It was a tangled mess. We'd planted it together. It was all weeds and memories. I put on Arthur's old boots. I went outside. His roses were choked by weeds. I knelt and started pulling. I wasn't praying. I was thinking of his hands, how he taught me to prune. I felt a connection to him. It was stronger than anything I'd felt in church since his funeral. That simple care sparked something. The next day, I drove to the garden center. I was overwhelmed. All that green. A young man named Leo worked there. He had dirt under his nails. He didn't just sell me soil. He asked, "What are you hoping to find out there?" I was startled. I said, "Quiet." He just nodded. I planted cosmos seeds. It felt foolish. I checked every day. Nothing. This was my new morning ritual. Not prayers, just patience. Faith in what I couldn't see. Then one morning, green threads broke the soil. I sat on the ground and cried. It was pure wonder. Leo became my guide. He'd stop by. He explained things. Companion planting. Ecosystems. His words were science, but to me, they were theology. The garden was a community. Then my granddaughter Maya started visiting on Sundays. She's 15, all sharp edges and her phone. She'd plop down and help weed. We talked. She told me her anxieties, her dreams, things she never said anywhere else. One Sunday she called it my church of dirt. She was teasing, but it was true. Then the storm came. I watched from the window. Hail shredded everything. The wind flattened my sunflowers. It was ruined. I felt despair. It felt like a test I'd failed. The next morning I went out to clear the wreckage. That's when I saw it. Green shoots were already pushing through the broken stems. Life wasn't defeated. It was adapting. I understood then. Faith isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about the quiet force of renewal after. That was my revelation. I started sharing my harvest. Tomatoes, zucchini, flowers. I gave some to Mr. Evans next door. He started leaving gardening tips for me. The young family across the street came over. A quiet fellowship formed, not from doctrine, but from sharing what the earth gave us. That felt like true communion. So I found God, not in a building's rafters, in the unfurling of a leaf, in the bee's wing, in the worm turning soil into life. My prayers became planting and watering and sharing. Holiness is in the tending, in the loving attention to the life in front of you. My hands are stained with earth now. My soul is full. I'm not telling you to leave your church. Just plant something. Tend it. Watch for the green in the dark. You might find what I did, a quiet, stubborn love growing right out of the ground. You might find what I did, a quiet, stubborn love growing right out of the ground. And you know what? That fellowship with my neighbors, it kept growing too. Mr. Evans, he's a shy man, but he started coming over. He'd stand at the edge of my plot and say, "Your tomatoes need more calcium, Eleanor." He brought me a bag of crushed eggshells. The young mother, Sarah, she brought her little boy over. He was scared of the bees at first, but I showed him how they landed on the lavender, busy and gentle. His eyes got so wide. We weren't a committee. We were just people, connected by this patch of earth. It felt more real than any church social I'd ever been to. Here's the thing. I started to see the whole world differently. I'd look at a tree on my walk and think about its roots, hidden and strong. I'd watch a pigeon on a wire and see just how alive it was. Everything felt sacred, not in a fancy way, in a simple, dirt under your fingernails way. My prayers changed completely. I didn't ask for things anymore. I just said, "Thank you. Thank you for this sun. Thank you for this rain. Thank you for this worm making the soil rich." It was a conversation. And then, one afternoon, Maya came over. She was upset. Something happened at school. She just cried. We sat on the bench Arthur made, and I didn't say much. I just held her. A ladybug landed on her knee. She watched it crawl, and her breathing slowed. The garden held her when I couldn't find the words. That's when I knew for sure. This was my faith now, this tender, growing thing. That's when I knew for sure. This was my faith now, this tender, growing thing. But you see, the hardest part wasn't the storm. It was the quiet that came after the garden was sleeping for the winter. The first real frost came, and everything went brown and brittle. I stood at the kitchen window, looking at that flat, dead landscape, and the old loneliness came back. It felt like God had left, like the whole summer had been a beautiful dream, and now I was just a foolish old woman staring at dirt. I missed Arthur so much it was a physical ache. I missed the routine of church, even though I'd left it. I felt silly. Had I just been playing in the dirt? Was any of it real? I called Maya. I said, "It's all gone. It's just dead." She was quiet for a minute. Then she said, "Nana, it's not gone. It's just different. It's under there. You taught me that." I cried then, hard, because she was right, and I had forgotten my own lesson. The cost of what I'd lost, the structure, the certainty, felt heavy, but the understanding was heavier. It was all still there, just waiting. It was all still there, just waiting. And that was the final lesson, the one that took the longest to learn. I was wrong about so many things. I thought faith was about having the answers, about a fixed set of rules that would protect you from the frost. I thought God was a distant manager you had to petition in a specific building. I thought when Arthur died, that was the end of our conversation. I was wrong. Love doesn't die when the body goes. It changes form, like a perennial going dormant. It waits in the memory of his hands on the rose thorns, in the echo of his laugh when I'd get dirt on my nose. It's in the bench he built that now holds my granddaughter. I was looking for a monument, but life and love and the divine, they're not monuments. They're verbs. They're processes. They're the tending. Here's what I should have done sooner, and what I'm telling you now. Don't wait for a sign. Don't wait for the loneliness to become so loud it's all you can hear. Go outside, right now. If you can't kneel, sit. If you don't have a garden, get a pot. Put your hands in the soil. It sounds simple, foolish even, but that's the point. Holiness isn't complicated. It's in the attention. Don't perform. Just be there. Watch a single ant carry a crumb 10 times its size. Follow the path of a cloud. Listen to the argument of sparrows. That's the real service. And don't make my mistake of thinking you have to do it alone. When Maya called me on my despair, she was tending to me. When Mr. Evans brought eggshells, that was a sacrament. We are part of each other's ecosystems. Let people in. Share your harvest, whether it's tomatoes or a story. The connection you're craving might be right over the fence, waiting for an excuse to say hello. You still have time. Maybe not decades, maybe not years in the way we used to count them, but you have now. And now is enough for a seed to sprout. It's enough to sit quietly and feel the sun. It's enough to mend one small thing. That's the realistic hope I found buried under the winter leaves. You don't need a grand conversion or a theological degree. You just need to pay a different kind of attention. To the crack in the sidewalk where a dandelion insists on living. To the way the light falls through your window in the afternoon. To the face of the person you love, without the distraction of what comes next. This moment, this breath, this patch of earth, it's holy ground, and you're already standing on it. So that's my story. A 76-year-old woman, her hands stained with earth, telling you she found God in the compost. If this quiet confession meant something to you, if it stirred a memory of your own garden or a longing for a simpler kind of peace, then maybe do a few things for me. First, hit that subscribe button. It's like planting a flag in this little corner of the internet. It tells me you're here, and it helps these stories find others who might need to hear them. Turn on notifications too. I won't bombard you, but when I have a new thought, usually born while I'm weeding, you'll be the first to know. Give this video a like. It's a small gesture, but in a world of algorithms, it's like watering a seedling. It helps it grow and reach more people. Most importantly, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, where is your garden? Where do you go to find that quiet, full silence? Is it a workshop, a kitchen, a walking path? Your stories are the real harvest here. And if you know someone, maybe someone who's lonely or grieving or just feeling a little lost inside four walls, share this with them. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is hand someone a different perspective, like passing a cutting from our own garden. Finally, I've been asked by so many of you to gather these thoughts into something more permanent. I've been reluctant, but maybe it's time. If you'd like to be notified if a small book of these reflections ever comes to be, there's a link in the description to a simple form you can fill out. No pressure, no sales, just a way to let you know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Now, go get your hands dirty. The world is waiting to show you its quiet, relentless love. I put on Arthur's old boots. I went outside. His roses were choked by weeds. I knelt and started pulling. I wasn't praying. I was thinking of his hands, how he taught me to prune. I felt a connection to him. It was stronger than anything I'd felt in church since his funeral. That simple care sparked something. The next day I drove to the garden center. I was overwhelmed. All that green. A young man named Leo worked there. He had dirt under his nails. He didn't just sell me soil. He asked, "What are you hoping to find out there?" I was startled. I said, "Quiet." He just nodded.